let's listen in to US President Donald Trump talking about his plans to increase tariffs on imported steel and aluminum to 50%.
We are going to be imposing a 25% increase. We're going to bring it from 25% to 50%, the tariffs on steel into the United States of America, which will even further secure the steel industry in the United States. Nobody's going to get around that. So we're bringing it up from 25%. We're doubling it to 50%.
All right, David Roche, strategist at Quantum Strategy, joins us this morning for more on that. David, very good morning to you from where we're sitting. Thank you so much for joining us. Great to speak with you. Now, I'm wondering, Trump saying 50% on steel tariffs, how much does it really mean, or how much does it really hurt, considering he's battling the legibility or the credibility of his current tariffs in court right now?
Well, put it this way, I mean, the tariff story for Trump is central to his beliefs. He got, the trade court said his tariffs were illegal. Then he appealed. He got them made legal again temporarily. We'll see what the Supreme Court says, but we're not finished with tariffs. 25% extra on steel obviously creates a lot of friction with the European Union because they were negotiating with him, and now he suddenly ups tariffs on one of their major exports. So expect more on that front, and expect more on pharmaceuticals. And I would say it's highly likely that he will put more tariffs back on China. So I don't think the story is finished. In fact, I think the story has been made worse by that clever journalist who named, Trump Taco, that Trump always chickens out. So he's a man who, with a careful eye on his own virility, and when his virility gets called into question, you can expect actions, and those actions will be more tariffs, more stupid policies.
Good morning, and point well made. So from that perspective, how do you trade global equity, and how are you positioning yourself? It seems in the recent past, in India at least, that foreign institutions have gone net short, and they seem to be lightening positions, if at all. How are you approaching your trade in emerging markets?
Well, first of all, I'm not a trader. I'm a long-term geopolitical strategist. So, I mean, I wouldn't listen to me on equity markets or anything else because I'll probably make you a lot poorer than you already are. But to answer the question in any case, I think the big loser out of US policies is the US. I think the dollar is going to see its role as global currency challenged. I think the US markets are going to suffer from a lack of foreign inflows. You're already seeing that in the bond markets where yields are going up, but they'll go up further as more capital exits to US. And what I own, well, I think China does a lot better out of this than the US. So obviously both economies are damaged. I think certain specific smaller markets like Hong Kong are actually beneficiaries, because as money flows out of the US and flows into Hong Kong, it'll end up in assets, and it can't result in a rising exchange rate because there's a dollar peg. And then finally, I would not be taking money out of India. I'd be putting money into India, because I think in the last of the analysis, it's a less internationally dependent economy, more a domestically dependent economy, and it'll probably escape the worst of the Trump's wars, because it'll do some sort of a deal, and Trump will have to favor that deal because he's got so few.
David, I wonder, what your take is on what we've seen over the weekend with Ukraine and Russia, and truly astonishing from various aspects. One, that Ukraine manages to smuggle drones into Russia and then attack its air power to such a large extent. Is there a backing of the United States and NATO now? Will this escalate? How are you seeing the situation?
I think it's very interesting. I think the Russian invasion of Ukraine, that completely illegal criminal invasion of Ukraine, will quite possibly start to impact on markets again, though it certainly hasn't been doing so far. Now, why do I say this? Because I think we could be on the steps of escalation. Why do I think the war could escalate from here? Because actually the Ukrainians are just so clever and so competent they had managed to wipe out 1/3 of the Russian strategic bomber fleet, most of which can't be rebuilt because Russia doesn't know how to build them anymore. So these strategic bombers are critical because they are the ones that are used to launch the missiles on Ukrainian civilians from high altitude, far away from Ukraine. And they always thought they were kind of immune. They couldn't be attacked. Well, now 1/3 of them are gone and can't be replaced. Why that is important? Because Trump, not Trump, sorry, same syndrome, but not Trump. Putin now has been insulted. He's been shown to be incompetent, and the Ukrainians have shown they can win the war, actually, even though the Americans say they can't, but who would listen to the Americans on that? So I think Putin will escalate. Where will he escalate? I think two ways. Number one, he will threaten and carry out greater massacres in Ukraine. Number two, watch the Baltics. The Russians are now giving naval escorts to their dark fleet in the Baltics. The NATO forces are building up in the Baltics, and both Denmark and Sweden have said they're going to start to enforce sanctions, inspections, and arrests of ships which are in the dark fleet which don't comply with international norms. So
Yes.
you could see escalation.
Yeah, yeah. That could well be something to watch out for. David, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Pleasure speaking with you.
Good, and you too.
All right.